Awesome. So, first of all, my name is Greg Dean, and I'm a little bit nervous because for me as a guy, it's a lot easier to go in and actually coach guys, because guys are always willing to listen. They just they basically want to solve whatever it is. But then when I feel like, because I'm a guy, coming into a group of women there, the whole weary thing is for a guy coming in and going, well, you know, am I going to get judged, or what do you know about my life? Well, you don't know all the struggles that I've had. You don't know all the things that I'm going through. You know, so for me to come here, it makes me a little bit nervous. But the one thing I do know, and I've studied this for years, is this human psychology of dating. I'm sure, you know, to the behest of my mother, you know, to be doing something like this, she's probably preferring to be a lawyer or, you know, something like that. So here I am, and, you know, be able to talk to you. And I've been responsible for getting people married. Well, you know, somebody hired me to actually go to church with them for 4 weeks because I'd actually been going to church with this girl for 2 years and hardly ever had the chance to talk to her. And then I was able to get them hanging out together, and now they're married. I've been responsible for guys and girls being in 5-year relationships, somebody able to rekindle their relationship back together with their ex-husband, you know, because they just kind of like lost that art of communication. And I didn't even realize there's someone that kind of explained it to me. I've got guys and girls that are very good with the opposite sex, you know. So I've got girls that they're very good at knowing how to, I suppose, attract a man. Even, you know, they're older. I've got some that are older, some are younger, and I've got guys that are very good at that as well. Now, I'm okay with, you know, getting to know people and having my relationships, you know, and sticking to one. But I realized one thing, that I'm probably a better coach than I am. You know, going and doing it myself, because I do have, you know, like I can't just keep doing it every day. I don't define my life by it. However, you probably understand that relationships, would you agree, they're kind of like part of, you know, our lives, as much as we go, you know what, screw it, I don't really need anybody. I'm done. I'm finished. Men are all bastards. Men are all assholes. Let's all sit around and like complain, and my ex-man did that, and my ex-husband did this. And by the way, who's been married? Put your hand up. Who's been divorced? Put your hand up. Cool. Who thinks all men are assholes on a general basis? Good. Awesome. We did keep one hand up, and your hand wasn't up. Married? What's your...
Yeah, in a relationship, really.
Okay, cool. So some people are, you know, everybody's coming for different reasons. But I'm so glad those people that pulled down their hand, they just realize that, you know, not all men are the same, but you can get caught up in that, and realize it or not. I don't know if you realize this, but if you're in a long relationship and then you get out of that long relationship, you go, oh shit, I've forgotten what to do. Guys are the same, you know, and it's so hard for a guy who's been married to, you know, get out of, say, a 20-year relationship and then say, oh God, you know, things have changed since I was young. I don't know what to say and what to do to people. You know, how do I find a new girlfriend? Where do I go on from here? And you'll find a lot of the guys that I coach have been single for a long time, haven't been on a single date, or they've been on a few dates and they've just failed flat and they've never figured it out why. So I come in and I basically kind of solved that problem. One girl actually had hired me to sit with her on, just at another table on dates and just observe what was going on in the date. And what I do is I just give her a little signal to come up to the bar, and I say, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing in the, you know, seeing it. And I'll just sit there, just at a bar. I look like probably some lonely stalker, but, you know, I just sit there, have a few drinks, you know, I just kind of occasionally look over. I wasn't like, what you doing now? It was literally just kind of looking over, just observing body language, looking away, try not to look, you know, too intense. And though that date turned out very well, because if you sign up through eHarmony, you're going to start really paying when you go out on those dates. You know, you're going to pay to contact somebody, and, you know, and then hopefully if it works out. Eventually, I started making some friends, and then I started getting, you know, lonely, wanting a relationship, and I found the one. Has anybody ever had the one? You know, the one they fall in love with? Yeah, that one, it just makes your heart, you know, sink. And here's my confusion. And tell me if I'm a little bit wrong here, but are we all looking for a nice guy? Can you just put your hand up if you've ever looked for a nice guy? We're all looking for a nice guy, aren't we? Everyone say, you know, what a nice guy. So, you know what? I became a nice guy. I was, you know, my mother raised me very well. You know, I was paying for dates, opening doors. You know, I didn't want to say anything disrespectful. respectful. I was a little bit worried about insulting this girl. So I'd always walk on eggshells. I hope she's okay. Oh, and my voice was always, oh, hello, how are you? I don't want to come across like I'm, too brutish or anything like that. You look at me, brutish. Right, but, my worry was all these things. I had to be very careful. I had to be very nice. I didn't want to insult her. And I thought if I'm very romantic and sweet and kind and always nice, the girl would fall in love with me, because that's what I've always been promised. My mother says you open doors for girls, you buy flowers for girls, you always respect them, always do everything, right? And just take care of everything. And you will find a lovely girl. And my one was Cara. Now, Cara came into my life because of the radio, and we started hanging out a little bit. And, I fell in love with Cara, absolutely. However, she did not fall in love with me. But I thought we were actually dating, even though we'd never actually kissed. Now, here's a 25-year-old guy here, right? Still dealing with some of these issues. And to give you an idea of where the confusion is with this whole nice guy thing, because I've always been told to be a nice guy, I remember lying on my bed, and she had her arm draped across my chest. And she looked into my eyes. She kind of looked up and she says, God, I just wish I could find someone like you, Greg. Can you believe that? Can I just find, what kind of logic is that, right? I wish I could find someone like you, Greg. I just really want to find a nice guy. And I'm like, hello, I'm right here. And she says, don't worry, one day you'll find somebody just right for you. Just be nice and kind and sweet. And she was like the ultimate girl for me. She was fun and adventurous. And it turns out she ended up dating some army guy that, was this bad boy that would, she'd always come back to me and say, he treated me like shit, did this. And one day she just stopped calling me and started hanging out with him exclusively. And I thought we'd broken up, and she'd never actually thought we were ever even dating. So I thought, oh my God, I lost Cara, we're broken up. And I found out she didn't even think we were dating, we were just friends. And I thought, you know what, you're right. I mean, at what point does it become a relationship? You have to kiss first, or you're hanging out, it's like, no, I think you have to kiss first. And this is my hit point, right, in my life, because in my relationships, because I realized I had to take control. And it was my breaking point, because I think to myself, as I'm getting older, there's all this social pressure on my life to settle down, get married, have kids, buy a house, a white picket fence, and all this other stuff. But I haven't even sorted out being able to find a girl yet, because even though there are 6 billion people on the planet, I can't find one that is willing to invest in me. Not one. And here I am, such a nice guy. I'm not a stalker. I'm not a serial killer. I'm not, I don't get into fights on the weekend. I don't, drink, get drunk, fall down flat. I've seen guys who are doing that, though, and they're in good relationships, or so-called, They're in long relationships, and they yell abuse at their girls, and I'm like, such a good guy. What is going on? I can't even find one single woman, even though I'm making money. I've got a good career. Can't find one girl to invest in my life. So something had to change. And I started becoming very obsessive step by step. I jumped on the internet for a start and started looking at dating advice for men. And all the stuff that I learned was very counterintuitive to what I understood. And it wasn't about the nice guy anymore. And this is where I realized, and this is why I agree with Heath, it's, I stay away from the Cosmo magazines, because they don't tell me the stuff that I need to learn in order to attract a woman. And I don't believe that the advice is set up for women to succeed with men either. I think that, in order to kind of do it, you have to kind of test the waters and start challenging yourself. And then you start challenging everything that's ever been told to you before. Okay? And in this circumstance, when it relates to the nice guy, I realized that's wrong. And I know why. Because who would agree you do want someone who's nice in your life? At least got to be nice, right? Okay, cool. But society tells you you're not really allowed to say anything else. But, I want a nice guy. And I train a lot of nice guys. Right? And I get them out of their shells. They're grown up to be nice guys. They're really scared to get out of their shell. They're afraid, that if they do anything that's not nice, that they're going to get slapped down for it because they're doing something different. And here's the cool thing about it, is once you start realizing it's not just about the nice guy, things really start changing. You start creating, if a man can create an unshakable character for his woman and starts becoming stronger, he's going to get a lot further. And here's the thing about becoming strong. You don't necessarily need to be nice, right? You just have to be strong, and you have to be good. There's a difference between good and being nice for a man. Would you agree with that? Yeah, cool. But the thing is, nobody's communicating that to men. And this is where this whole group starts coming about, because it's up to you to start communicating. And by the way, all the stuff that happens to you or in your life, whether you're out of a relationship, who's long-time single, by the way? Put your hand up, long-time single. Cool. It's not your fault. I want you to know, none of it is your fault, right? All the stuff that's happening to you is not your fault. But I would say this, because nobody else is ever going to fix it for you, it is your responsibility. So it's your responsibility to take control of the relationships, especially when you go to meet men. It's not up to men, because quite frankly, the men that you're looking for are very confused. They are extremely confused, and it's not. And by the way, you can be very confused as well. But it's all the pressure because of the feminist movement and all political correctness that stops men being able to say and do certain things to make you feel a certain way, right? So they start getting very scared. And we're talking about good men here. There are a lot of bad men. There are a lot of idiots out there. A lot of just Gumby people. Right? I call them Gumbies. They're just, they're just clueless and refuse to learn. They don't read. They just drink. They just watch their, TV. They watch footy on the weekends. That's pretty much all you'll ever get them to do. But the good men are out there. The men that are, career-driven, adventurous. And this is where all of us need to start expressing and communicating this to the men that we meet. So the first thing would be dating profiles. Because you might just be looking, I just want a nice, caring guy to walk on the beach with, to hold hands with. I like watching romantic movies. Has anybody ever put any of this in their profile? Because I know plenty of women that have, right? And the thing is, society's only ever told you're only allowed to tell guys you want a nice guy. And that's where the confusion is. Because guys will go, oh, okay, so you want a nice guy? I'm a nice guy. So why aren't you dating me? What you need to do. Who wants the secret? Put your hand up. Cool. All right. So from now on, you've got to get rid of the whole nice guy mentality. Because what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to say, I want a nice guy, yes. Cool. But he also must be financially secure. He must also be adventurous. He also must be a good, strong character. He must be great with kids. He must be fit.
Yes.
Go to the gym.
That's right.
And must be great in bed.
Yay.
Amen. Hallelujah. Right? You can no longer say, I need to be a nice guy, because the situation you're in is you're never going to find a guy that fulfills you in any way, shape or form by just getting it out there. You're just looking for a nice guy. So that is step one in order to how to catch and keep a good man, is to change your mindset and how you're communicating that with the outside world. So from today, no more nice guy. No more nice guy, right? High five on that one. Let's just hit that up. Yeah, cool. All right, cool. So another thing that you want to be able to do is you want to start becoming much more open with yourself. Because do we all go out? Where would you normally go out to meet people? Guys, girls, whatever,
Restaurants, bars, places, movies. Broncos Leagues Club.
Broncos Leagues Club, huh? Some good strong man there, right? Okay, cool. So, so wherever you are now, there's a way that you can actually catch and keep a good man. I'm going to give you some crazy tips on how to do this. First step, whenever you go out, and this is what I see when we go to the bars. It reminds me of like when we're teenagers, actually. You're at the under 18s, the disco, right? And you get your friend to walk up to the guy's friend and go, oh, my friend likes your friend. Will your friend go out over it? Do you remember that? What happened? Now it's like when we go out to the bar, the guys, will come up and approach because they don't know what to do and say. And what happens is a lot of the girls, a lot of the younger ones, they start going like this, fuck off. I'm with my friends. I'm having a night out with my friends. All right? And this happens constantly. And there's a few reasons for it, especially as women get older. Sometimes they can become more and more jaded. Cool? And so you need to become much more open. Here's a thing that can come across. It's called what you're trying to get across and the perception of what's being received. Yeah, have you ever said something to somebody with a certain intention and they took it completely the wrong way?
Every day.
Yeah? Okay, trust me, men are receiving something different than what you're putting out there. I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so I was coaching a female client of mine, okay? She's 45 years old. And this young guy comes up to her. and I was out coaching her, so because I do take clientele, guys out in the bars. I also take out women out in the bars just to kind of see where they're going wrong. A 45-year-old woman. Okay, she's standing there at the bar, and she's pretty, she's pretty. And a guy comes up to her, and I think he's probably about 28 years old, and he walks up to her and says hi, and she goes, "Oh, hello, slightly rough, how it going?" I know this is going to stop too. That's my next step. It's another talk all together, I think. And she says, "Yeah, how you going?" And he goes, "Oh, good." And he says, "Oh, can I buy you a drink?" And she says, "Do you know how old I am?"
Oh, man.
Right? And yeah, "Do you know how old I am?" And she goes, "No." And he goes, "A little bit too old for you, don't you think?" Right? And she could have got pounded that night. Oh my God, he was, I could see he was a good-looking dude, right? Vibrant, kind of. He was really into her too. And he just went, "Oh, okay." And he bought her the drink anyway, and then he just walked off. Right? And this brings me to a point. It's not about your age, by the way. It's your perception of it. It's your opinion of it that is what matters. Yeah? Because here's the thing. The guy walks up, and I talked to this guy later on. He said, yeah, she was a good-looking girl, and he liked older women. Okay? And I said, okay, so what happened? He goes, man, she just blew me off. Yeah, I just thought she was being rude. I asked her, I pulled her to the side, I said, why did you blow that guy off? And she says, well, no, I was just trying to pre-warn him how old I was, so he knew. Because she does look younger than 45, but she was just like, no, I just wanted to prepare him for what he was getting himself into. I said, I'm pretty sure, one, he knew you were older than him, and two, he didn't care. But here's where you fail, and this happens to her constantly with younger men that approach, because she's a good-looking girl, she goes to the gym, she works out, but she puts it out there that she's so self-conscious about her age now that guys get blown out. They don't, and she says she's single and lonely. She says, oh, I can't find a good guy. I can't even get laid. I can't even find a man. Right? I said, oh my God, you got a 28-year-old guy here. And he goes, no, he wasn't interested in me. Yeah. He wasn't interested in me. He walked up to me and just said, hi, just because I'm older, that's my problem, because I'm older. I said, he didn't even care. So it's not your age. It's the only issue with it is your problem with it. So that's where you kind of have to get out of whatever the realm you're in. I don't judge any age. I care only about femininity, and I'm attracted to vulnerability. So if somebody's vulnerable, then I'm much more open to it. Which brings me to my next point. Western society and the masculinity of women and the femininity of men. I'm seeing guys now with the sleeve tattoos walking around, big beefy dudes with shaved or waxed legs. And they're proud of it. They wear shorts. And I want to go, man, if it wasn't for the fact that you look like the Hulk and you're on roids, I'll give you so much shit about shaving your legs. Like, my God, what are you doing shaving your legs for? He goes, bro, because it looks good, eh? And I'm thinking, what? How can, be doing this? And this is the other thing. They preen themselves, and you know what? Having good skin is great. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but these guys spend so much time gelling their hair up, making the sleeve tattoos. You know what I'm talking? I know, man. I'm not averse to it. I like to look good. So you've got to put an effort in, yes. But here's the other side of it, while so many men are putting in all the effort, over time, what we're finding, and this is my female clients as well, the women spend all this time when they're young and they look in front of the mirror and they look, making sure, doing the whole look. But as they get older, they put less and less effort into it. And there's a few reasons for it. No, you look very classy, but what we're talking about here is a general thing that we're seeing, right? And it's the females that I would, refer to, say, a stylist or something. Stuff that they had control over years ago, they've failed to have control. And sometimes what happens, you get into this long relationship, and the guys do it too. They kind of just let themselves go. And the fittest time you'll ever be in your life is after a breakup. Because you just go, you know what, screw the ex, I'm going to look good. And she's going to see me later on, and she's going to, damn, I so missed out on that guy, But so the fittest you're ever going to be is after the breakup. And so you just kind of you can kind of get a little bit like, I can't be screwed anymore. You know, I don't know if you ever feel that, but sometimes you just go, you know what, I'm trying my best. No guy is investing his time in me. I just give up, you know. Really, I've got too much other stuff going on in my life to you know, be bothered. Look, I'm looking after. Who's got kids? Yeah, I've got kids, I'm going to have to deal with the teenagers, they're doing this and this and this. I just don't have time to go to the gym, I don't have time to work out, I haven't got time to do all these things. Cool, that's awesome. You don't necessarily need to go to the gym, but what I'm saying about Western culture as opposed to all the places I've travelled around the world is sometimes society just pushes you because maybe you're a single mum, you have to raise a kid, you're forced to be very strong, you're forced to be a leader, you're forced to get stuff done, and that stuff that traditionally is what a man would do and a woman would tend to the house. So over time, you can start becoming more masculine, the men become more feminine, and then nobody's actually attracted to each other anymore. So what I'm saying to you is next time you're out, women deal in subtlety and men do not. So if you start, the feminine is subtle and the feminine is vulnerable. If you just allow yourself to let the man or give the man a chance to be a man, you're going to find that he's ultimately very attracted to you because all you have to do is be a little bit more vulnerable and be a little bit more flirtatious just with your body language. You don't even need to say anything. And I'll give you an example of the power of femininity. Okay, so on one hand, I saw this big, this is on the Gold Coast, there's two big guys about to fight. And this petite little girl, she's probably around like 20-something years old, and this guy's about to fight, and she was just not even half this guy's size. And as the fight was about to happen, she just walked up and put her arm on his arm, and the fight stopped, and she just led him away. It was amazing. Now, I've seen other fights where the girl just gets up in the guy's face and, "What you doing?" And then they both fight. You know, well, screw, he was doing this and you were saying this and screw you. And the fight gets worse and worse and worse because what the girl was trying to do is challenge him as a man by acting as a man. And all you have to do is just soften, quieten, relax, and be feminine and just come back to finding that girl inside. So that's another thing that we really want to work on. Who's getting a little bit out of this tonight?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So here's another thing I want to be able to do is we talk about judgments. Who goes on? Anybody been on a few dates? Because we've got a whole bunch of stuff to cover. Do they ever work out?
No.
Nah. What's the problem?
I cannot work that out.
Okay. A lot of the times what we're hearing is judgment. You meet a man and you go,
I'm not into them now.
yeah.
I'm not into them.
And why is that?
I don't know.
Okay. What do you think when you first see them?
I go in mentally blank. I go, okay, I'm going to go in blank.
Yeah.
This is a shot. I'm going to go in blank.
Yeah.
Sometimes I even go back a second time and make sure I have.
Oh, okay. Go for a second look.
I'll go, no. I'll come out, no.
Yeah.
First time.
Okay, and what are some of the things that the guys are doing or saying to, lose your interest?
Sometimes it is their presentation.
Yep.
Sometimes it's what they talk about.
Uh-huh. Like, what are some of their conversations that would freak you out?
If they get stuck on work and there's no getting off that.
Oh, like, what would be a career that they're in that they're talking about?
Let me see, a carpenter, an accountant,
Yep.
a pilot, a copper.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty good quality
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
We're all like looking at you going, what the hell is wrong with you? A copper?
You know how much a pilot earns?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I went back. I'm going to do it, but no, I couldn't.
You just couldn't get into it?
No.
Okay, cool. You know what happens?
No.
I do. Okay, so I'm going to share it with you. Okay, even though you say you're going in blank, you're not. Okay, and what's your perfect man? What does he look like? Give me an idea of what he would look like.
Probably dark.
He's probably dark, yeah? Yeah.
I don't care about I don't care about the colour of his eyes.
Yeah.
I do like him not to be too scrawny, but doesn't have to be the Incredible Hulk
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
I like him to be confident.
Uh-huh.
I do like him to take control.
Yes. Okay.
It doesn't matter whether he's got children or not.
Uh-huh.
What else is there?
Okay, cool. So far, have we identified a few things about the guy that are actually the kind of guy you're looking for on the date? Pilot in control. Yeah. Police officer, strong.
Yeah.
And fit. Well, you'd hope so.
Yeah.
We hope so, right? Except for those, like quarter, half price Maccas or whatever. Yeah. And what else? What else did you say?
One was a carpenter.
Yeah.
One was just.
So good with his hands, strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good with
and still not attracted?
Well, because I'm looking at their face.
Okay, so you're judging on looks.
Well, you've got to be like.
But they don't have a face like a smashed crab, do they?
No.
All right, that's why I look at it. It's like,
enough men.
Yeah.
They're gentlemen.
Yeah.
None of them are like, they're gentlemanly.
yeah. Here's the thing. This is where the issues come in, because men are doing exactly the same thing, but they're very worried about being judged, right? And guys, believe it or not, actually judge a lot less than women do. Guys do judge on looks immediately. They go yes, no, but then they can be quickly turned around. Right? And all you have to do is be feminine and soft and vulnerable, and a man will just go, ah. I know plenty of guys, right, that have girls that you would look at normally, you, even as women, you go, oh, how did he end up with her? Wow. Right? And yet, I know a guy that is like, he goes to the gym a lot, and he's a martial artist, he's very strong, and his girlfriend, stay at home, mum, big, like she's a big girl, and everyone thinks, well, what is it about her? But every time I see them out, she's playing with his hair, she's very attentive, she gives him a lot of affection. If he ever wants something, she's just making sure that he's okay with it. And every time I've seen them, I've gone over to the house, she's never busting his balls on something, right? And yet, here's the thing. He's built the house. He built the house that they actually live in himself. It was one of those, do-it-yourself. Yeah. And he did that all himself. His woman had no say in that whatsoever, right? He built the whole thing. And all she does, she benefits from it simply by giving him all the love, tenderness, and affection. And she doesn't, and he doesn't judge her on her looks, right? And what we see when people go out on dates, where you've got this vision in your head about what a guy is supposed to look like, right? And you're never going to find him ever. Right? We have to face that fact. So what you need to do is look at all the other strengths that a man has and say, okay, well, let's just look past the initial and get into that. I know you're going like, oh, I'll close my eyes and see if he looks different when I open my eyes again. I'll go back for a second look. But what I'd probably guarantee is see what he's like in bed. See what he's like as a kisser. Have you done that?